season, Higgins and Chase saw so much success because teams felt like they could really load the box against that weak Cincinnati offensive line, that they could just load the box and get to the quarterback before it was a problem throwing to the wide receivers. With a better offensive line, there may be more coverage on Higgins and Chase this year that we didn't see last year, if that Bengals O-line is what it's promised to be. So that's another thing in there right there. We got veteran Oakart in the chat saying Justin Tucker of the top 3 wide receivers. Yeah, Justin
Shout
Tucker's
out, Andres.
Probably most likely to disappoint. What's up, Andres? And we got Dame in the chat. Hello, what's up? Scott wants to know, what is the record for latest start? Wow, I'm guessing that's because it's not working. We got 6 in there watching now, JL. Is it working now?
I don't know. There is one up, but it might be a new one. Here we go. Yeah, now we're getting some people in here.
There we go. What's up, everybody? Good afternoon. Do we need to start over?
I think so.
Did anybody hear anything?
No, I don't think they got any of that.
Not a single thing. Okay, Bob, you ready to take this from the top?
Yes.
That was just a practice.
So that's what happened? Nobody could hear us?
Nope.
That's never happened before.
Nothing. Jay said nope. Nothing.
Nope,
not a
nothing.
single thing in there. Okay. You know what?
All right,
I'm going to
start over.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Fantasy Football Game Show presented by Front Yard Fantasy. I'm your host, Simon, joined as always by my beautiful co-host, John Luke. If you're joining us from Twitter, you already heard us say all of this, but if you're joining us on Twitch. YouTube, this is the first time you're hearing it, or Twitch. JL, thanks for joining me again. Your face is here this time as we introduce everyone.
Thank God they didn't see me not show up in the first part of it.
Nope. And guys, also joining us today, making his Fantasy Football Game Show debut, we've got Bob Lung. Man, you know what? You're the kind of person, it doesn't even feel bad to introduce you twice because it's all great stuff you got going on there. Bob is the writer of the 2022 Fantasy Football Consistency Guide. He is also the creator of Big Guy Fantasy Sports and the founder, the king of the Fantasy Football Expo. Bob, thank you so much for joining us today, my man.
Oh, thank you guys again so much for having me. Looking forward to this game show. I haven't been on a game show ever, so this will be fun.
Ever? Ooh. First time.
Maybe I will. I mean, maybe there's been some, but
not
a real competition.
JL, is this how you fixed it? Did you take out the cartridge,
100%. How
blow
do you
it,
know
and
that?
try again?
Yeah, it's exactly
that's how it worked. Guys, I'm not going to run through every single one of these ones I missed. Just know, if you had a comment prior to this one with Twin, I probably already pulled it up on screen and addressed you. It'll be in the YouTube video somewhere right there. What's up, Twin? Welcome in. And we've got Dave in here says, I have Diggs greater than Chase this season. I know Josh does as well. So whenever we're talking top 3 wide receivers, looks like Dave has made his choice. He doesn't even have Chase in that top 3. And I know Josh agrees. He's not here to talk about it as well. Albert, what's up? Good afternoon. Welcome in. And Alex, now that you can hear us, welcome into you as well. I apologize to everybody for the technical difficulties that we had. And now the chat is hyped to have you here, Bob. Scott saying hi, Bob. Mr. Scampers with the Bob.
Scampers.
Oh, and they didn't hear a single thing we said. So let's go ahead and readdress this question. Bob, you had a great answer. Of the top 3 wide receivers, and Chase, Jefferson, and Kupp, which one do you think will disappoint? Or is most likely?
Well, as I said, I think Kupp has to be the one that disappoints because he had a once-in-a-lifetime year. That doesn't mean he can't still be the number 1 receiver at the end of the year. In total points and be 100% consistent like he was last year, but I don't think he's going to be, 100 points ahead of second place or whatever he was last year. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, pretty close.
Preposterous.
If that's a disappointment to people, then that's a disappointment. But
it's all about expectations.
Was 100% consistent. Jefferson was 94. Chase was 71. So there we go.
Yeah, there's more room to go up for Chase, but I guess maybe some more risk as well in that. But I'm with you. As far as expectations go, I think Kupp has got to be the one most likely not to reach those expectations if you're looking at last season as a barometer of that as the new normal.
I think season we could see Chase be disappointing as well. I think a lot of people are expecting a Cooper Kupp, a 2021 Cooper Kupp-like season from Jamar Chase. And I don't think that's necessarily the type of wide receiver he is. Maybe he will become that, but I think he'll likely be a little bit less consistent than some people are expecting.
He and Higgins are similarly targeted when they're both healthy and on the field. Like Higgins, It's not uncommon for him to out-target Chase in a game. They play different roles on that field, but I'm with you, JL. Now, I love Chase. Chase is my number 3 wide receiver going in this year. This isn't like we're talking the best of the best. We're nitpicking here. So don't take these as like anti-Chase, anti-Kupp statements. And I guess we all love Jefferson, apparently, if none of us have a single thing to say about him. Scott in here saying, Bob, it is an honor. Thank you for everything you do. I know the fantasy community.
Thank you guys for supporting everything that I do. I can't do it without anybody being there. So thank you for being there.
And Dave saying facts, Scott. So maybe Dave will transfer who he's cheering for on the show today. I doubt it's going to JL, but Bob, if he's saying facts, he's probably pulling over for you today. And Mr. Scamper said, all right, I was lockstep with Bob. So on that take, yeah, it's a good room to be in. And Alex saying FYF is out on Chase. Heard it here first. Yep, word for word what we said, Alex. Nailed it. Absolutely nailed it. Guys, today we brought Bob on here to play some poll perception with us. Before we get into that, though, a couple reminders. Number one, if you are not already following Bob on Twitter, go and fix that right now. He's on Twitter at Bob_Long. It's his name. Just throw the underscore in between the first and last. You do not want to miss following him. He's the dude with all of the news about the FF Expo and a great analyst on top of that. After you follow Bob, if you're already watching this video, which hopefully you're all actually watching now, go and hit that like button right here and subscribe to our channel at Front Yard Fantasy. I think what happened was there wasn't enough likes, and so the video just didn't have enough self-esteem to show up is what I'm pretty sure.
It's your fault.
Yeah, it's your fault, not our fault. We're perfect. We've never made a mistake.
Never once.
And then we've got Scott in here saying breaking news, FYF has released Josh Fuster. Good luck in your future endeavors, Josh. Oh, shit. I didn't know that happened. JL, did you do that without me?
Nope, not me.
Jay must have done. Jay,
you little stinker.
People. Guys, like I mentioned, we're going to play poll perception today. I'm going to explain these rules, and then we are going to get started. This is the game that tests your knowledge of the public's perception of fantasy football or NFL players. So I have found some of the juiciest, best polls online, most of them through Twitter. I'm going to propose a poll to one of our contestants. So JL, I may ask, in this poll, what percentage of people chose side A over side B? There will be player names in there, but for
46%.
46%. A reminder, you will always be guessing side A in these polls, never side B, so always side A. JL, the closer you are to the actual number, the more points you're going to get for that. A maximum of 10 if you are exactly right, and 0 if you're more than 15 away. It's going to scale up within that range. Now, Bob, after JL sets the line, says the number, and before I reveal the answer, you'll be responsible for guessing whether the actual answer is over or under JL's guess, whatever he said on the poll. If you correctly pick the over-under, you're going to add 2 points to your score. We will alternate back and forth this. There will be an extra rule introduced at one point in this game, but I will let you guys know whenever it has been introduced, and I will explain it then. But we'll go back and forth like that for 6 polls, and then on our 7th and final poll, both of you will be guessing a number. There will be no more over-under nonsense on that one. You're just going to be guessing a number right there. Whoever's the closest will get 5 points on that last one, unless you get it exactly right, at which point you will get 10. The person with the most points at the end of the game is our champion. And I can't forget the rule that the chat always reminds me to bring up, the Queen Bee rule. So, Bob, if JL's guess is so good that you can't even pick over under, you're positive that he is exactly right, you can choose to Queen Bee it, named after the Queen Bee of Fantasy herself, Bonnie. She came on and implemented this rule. If you do that, you'll get 10 points as well if it is exactly right. But disclaimer, it has never been hit on stream. Not once has anyone hit the Queen Bee rule. And I saw someone say, hi, Mama Grunewald. Did my mom show up in the chat? I don't see her anywhere. There she is. Says Bob looks like we have a friend. We have a friend named Mr. Phil. This is my mom that we grew up with. I'm guessing she says you look like our family friend, Bob. He's a handsome guy.
Mr. Phil.
He's a handsome guy. And hi, Mom. Welcome in. Guys, are you ready to get started?
What's up, Mom?
Mama G. Yeah, I'm ready.
You ready to do this?
Yeah.
Bob, before we get going, and this is an important question because the order of the polls, who's going to be asked what is already determined. Would you like to go first or second in today's game?
I will defer and let him go first. Let JL go.
Brave, very brave.
You're receiving in the second half. JL, you are up first. A reminder to everybody watching, please play along in the chat.
Yes, we love it.
Throw your guesses in the chat. If you are right, we will shout you out. And if you are really wrong, we'll mock you relentlessly, but it's all part of the fun. JL, you ready for your first poll?
Oh, I'm ready. Hit me.
This is a Dynasty 12-team PPR league. Side A is DK Metcalf. Side B is Austin Eckler. What percentage of people chose DK Metcalf in this poll?
Dynasty 12-team PPR. DK Metcalf. It's gotta be DK Metcalf side here. I know people love Austin Eckler, and they're not really, for some reason, they forget that he's 26 years old. They apply the age argument to everybody but Austin Eckler.
It's because he's so cute.
It's because he's so cute. I do really like Austin Eckler, but DK Metcalf, obviously his dynasty value has gone down. His value in all formats has gone down with his quarterback situation there in Seattle. I still have to think that the young wide receiver is going to get most of the vote here. I'm going to go with 68%. 68%. Lock it in.
68% from John Luke.
Yeah.
Bob,
all right. So he's saying that DK Metcalf got 68% of the votes.
Correct. And I need you to tell me whether
this is a current poll, correct?
All of these polls are within the last 5 days. And if there was any news that would change a poll, I didn't use it. Know what I mean? Like if there was trade news or something.
All right, that's fine. Yeah. All right. So because of that, I will take the under.
Bob taking the under on JL's guess of 68% right there. What leads you to take the under there, Bob?
I just think it's probably a little bit closer. While Eckler certainly is a little bit older, I get that. The fact that they have a bunch of garbage throwing to DK Metcalf, to me, in a dynasty, tells me that that's probably a little bit closer than we think it is. So I think 68 is just a little bit too high. I think if he was like 58, I'd been like, that's pretty close. So I'm going to go with the under.
Bob taking the under on that one. We've got people in the chat asking the important questions. Scott said, who's taking shots? No one, because only Josh does that.
Yeah, that's a Josh thing.
Josh is probably taking them somewhere else, completely unrelated to this.
All of my meetings after the stream would be ridiculous if I started taking shots right now.
My day, forget the meetings, just the rest of my day would be ridiculous if I started taking shots right now. No, it wouldn't. It would be sweet.
It would be fantastic. I would be at the top of my game.
I'd lay on the couch, I'd turn on an episode of Clone Wars, and I'd be out before the end of the first one is what would happen if I started taking shots. And I got things to do, guys. We got guesses in the chat. Dave in here with 65. Josh with 42. Uneasy Allies with 57. And Josh, just making sure we know. Percent. 42%, not 42 anything else, specifically percentage points. Albert 63, Scott with 46, Pete with 64%.
Ooh, I like that. Also, I like that from Alex.
Dave saying jail being in a great mood is putting me in a great mood.
Dave being in a good mood is not putting me in an even better mood. So
look at that smile. Look at that. Mr. Scammer's in here with 69%.
Ooh, I like that. Like that.
Quinn with 42%, Dustin with 71, Dame with 49. And Alex said, Bob with the confidence you love to see it. JR with 36% and JWall with 49%. Well, guys, JL's guess of 68, Bob with the under. The actual percentage of people that chose DK Metcalf over Austin Eckler in this poll was 61%.
Ooh,
so JL, that's pretty good for both of you. JL, you're within 10, so you're going to get 3 points. Bob, you correctly picked the over-under, which is going to give you those 2 points in that first round. So it is going to be 3-2 after JL's first poll on that one. I did want to ask you guys before we move on. So Bob, you mentioned thinking this would be closer, but where do you lie on this one? Like, which side would you be taking in a vacuum? DK Metcalf or Austin Eckler?
In a vacuum? Well, it's funny because I'm in a dynasty league. I traded a draft pick to get DK Metcalf, and that was before the Russell Wilson trade. And then after the Russell Wilson trade, I traded DK Metcalf for Alvin Kamara.
Okay, and that's probably
so it was kind of like,
Austin Eckler.
And they're similar age, Austin Eckler. I mean, if it would have been Austin Eckler, I probably would have traded that too. So the only thing I think can help DK Metcalf is he moves to a different team. But now they haven't signed him yet to the big deal that they keep saying they're going to. So I feel like, I don't know, DK needs to go to a new team, or they need to draft or get a much better quarterback than Drew Lock or Geno Smith.
Yeah. And Alex in here saying contender is Eckler, DK for rebuilder. I think that makes sense as well. JL, which one of these in a vacuum? You're in a startup draft. You don't know what your team, like, is it a win now team? Is it not yet? Where are you going? DK Metcalf or Austin Eckler?
Yeah, the key being that in a vacuum, in a startup draft, I'm taking DK Metcalf solely for the reason that he's going to retain the value, right? When I think about players that I want on my fantasy team, I'm thinking about market value and what I'm predicting the market's going to do over time. And so someone like DK Metcalf, I see his value very like a path for him very easily to increase his value because he's a super talented young wide receiver. And he has been up there, right? People have considered DK Metcalf the wide receiver one as recently as what, last year?
Yeah, like
beginning of last year?
The past offseason, there were people hyping him up as the number one dynasty wide receiver.
There was a time. Yeah, there was certainly a time in the recent history. Austin Eckler, unfortunately, he's a running back and he's getting older and his value is just going to start depreciating. It's unlikely that his value is going to increase from now until later. So absolutely as a contender, I could see going for Eckler here in a vacuum. In a startup draft, I'm not as worried about that. I'm going DK Metcalf.
Joe, I love that way of thinking about it. Whenever I said in a vacuum, your thought process went to the value, like what's going to happen with their value, because like if it is in a vacuum, that's really all that matters. Like what is their value? What is their perceived value? That makes a lot of sense to break it down that way. We got Rick Butts in the chat saying bunch of studs. What's up, my man Rick? Glad to have you out here. And then Dave said I'm taking Bissell in a vacuum, and then said Shark is an elite vacuum, but hella expensive.
Very expensive.
Alex saying Bissell greater than God, I bought a vacuum for my girlfriend as a gift, and it hurt me to my soul how much a vacuum cleaner
didn't it come
costs.
Broken or something?
Yes, and then it came with the filter not in the box, and the vacuum doesn't run without the filter. Then, of course, Target said, "Oh, that was on sale, so sorry, we can't do an exchange." Yeah, your sucks to suck. They said, "Talk to Dyson," and Dyson said, "Oh, no problem. We'll have it to you in the next 6 to 8 weeks." So we just had a $600 like door holder for a couple months right there while we waited for that.
A door holder. You hold your doors?
Yeah, holds our doors. Before we move on to our next poll, Scott had a question for us. Who does everyone think will start in Seattle at QB? So Drew Lock, Geno Smith, Bob. Who do you think it's going to be?
Doesn't matter. They both.
We all thought it.
I guess if I have to pick, I'm going to go with Drew Lock, but it could take 2 games and he could be switched out for Geno Smith. It's a terrible season.
Also, I just wanted to address Seattle. This before I get this comment. Bold move buying her a vacuum. It was requested. It was a specifically requested gift that I fulfilled, Mr. Scampers.
Happy wife,
perfectly valid question.
I do not buy anything cooking or cleaning as a gift unless specifically asked for it, because I don't want to do that. That's not nice. Sorry, JL. Go ahead.
What was I don't even remember what I was saying, honestly.
Oh, sorry about that. And Rick said, I like how he says he bought a vacuum for his EF, but for all we know, she makes him do all the chores. She is the boss. I'm just the resident over here. But you know what? No, we're both the boss over here. JL, are you ready for Bob's first poll?
I'm ready for Bob's first poll. Can't wait to hear Bob. Can't wait to hear Bob guess on this poll here.
And now, Bob, I guess it doesn't matter if you're ready because it's your poll. So we're going to get right into it.
I'm ready.
This is a Dynasty 12-team PPR league, similar to JL's, but completely different trade. Side A is DeAndre Swift. Side B is J.K. Dobbins and Kenneth Walker. What percentage of people chose the DeAndre Swift side of this poll?
Ooh, wow.
That feels like a Josh poll. Like this poll was made to torture Josh.
This is a tough one.
Yeah, it is.
What are you thinking, Bob?
I'm thinking it's going to be very close to 50%. I'm going to go with 48%.
48% on the DeAndre Swift side?
Yeah, I think it's going to be very close, 50-50.
Okay.
With Walker is the rookie. Dobbins, he's got the injury, but still not very old. That's pretty close. I mean, I think it's an even trade, but that's why I think it'll be pretty close.
Bob going with 48%, just about even, slightly on the Dobbins and Walker side is where he thinks this one ended up landing. JL, are you going to go over or under Bob's guess of 48%?
I'm going to say over. I think that was a very good line.
You were going to say over on Bob's guess.
Yeah, I think more people took DeAndre Swift.
48%, and then JL taking the over on that one. I see we have a bunch of guesses in the chat as well, and they are not all over the place. They're kind of around where you are. But Dave said 78%, a little higher. J-Wall was 66. So both of these guys love some DeAndre Swift. I knew that about J-Wall. Josh said 51%. Dave saying, nah, I'm way off. Changing his mind. Rick with 53%. Albert with 45%. Uneasy with 42%.
Uneasy.
And then Alex letting us know that the trade charts have Swift at 75 versus the package at 82. Pete saying 47%. Craig with
Ooh.
65%. Mr. Scampers with 33%. And Josh agreeing and going with the over, JL.
What up,
He's on the
Josh?
same side as you on that one. Okay, guys, the actual percentage of people, Bob's guess was 48%. JL took the over. The actual percentage of people that took DeAndre Swift over J.K. Dobbins and Kenneth Walker was 49%.
Wow.
Bob, you were off by 1 percentage point, but that's still going to get you 5 points for.
Oh, that's right, because I'm within whatever. Yeah,
you're within 5.
Whatever.
You're within 5, so you're going to get 5 points.
It was funny because I was like 48, 49 in my head. I'm like, I'll go 48.
Well, Bob, I'll tell you even a little bit more insight. We round up here on the decimal. It was, you said 48, 49. It was 48.5. You were that close to being exactly right. We round up to 49, but that was an insane guess.
Very good line.
Gives you the lead.
That was good. Well, like I said, I felt it was pretty even, and so did everybody else. So.
Dale, I actually gave you 2. I deleted your 3 and gave you 2, but I added them together now and put it at 5. 5-7 right there. And Josh in here saying, what a line. Indeed, what a line. But did people get it?
Oh, wait, no, that was the previous poll. I'm just giving
I was going to say, I didn't think anyone got it on this one. Dale tried to give credit.
I'm just trying to give Dame credit.
What a line from Bob. Bob was the closest in the chat or in on the game.
Yeah, but honorable mention to Albert, to Alex, 47%. Great guesses here in the chat. JR was too far off, 41%. Well done. Ricky Butts on the other side, 53%.
Do you guys have any concerns about J.K. Dobbins, given the recent Twitter interaction? Someone saying he might not be ready for week 1. He came out very defensive of the fact that he would be ready for week 1. JL, what do you make of that? Any concerns? Does it move him in your pre-draft rankings at all for redraft?
No, not at all. It's a player, this is his whole life, and players are going to be optimistic, right? And we don't necessarily, and it's the offseason, we don't necessarily know what the where is the source coming from, right? Saying that he's not ready for week 1. So I think you got to take all of this with just a grain of salt. I would expect this type of reaction from a lot of different players. I wouldn't be surprised by it. So it doesn't really change my view of J.K. Dobbins this year.
Nope, I'm with you, JL. I'm not moving them based off that one tweet.
Didn't somebody do that last year or the year before? I want to say Michael Thomas. Somebody was very adamant about being ready to go and then didn't play like the whole season.
I have vague memories of that, but I can't remember who it could have been.
I swear it was Michael Thomas, but it might have been somebody else. But somebody else was in that situation and just was it? Oh, I think it was AJ Green.
That might have been it.
Very adamant about he was playing and then didn't play at all that season, or if he did, maybe late. But anyway.
Last season he played, maybe the season.
No, this was 2 years ago when he was trying to come back from that injury. And anyway,
no, I think JL, you brought up the main point. There is these players, it's their health, their career, their livelihood. Of course, they're likely going to be more optimistic and react that way if there's people putting news out that they don't agree with about their health. So. Right. I'm with you. I'm not saying one side or the other is true, but I'll just leave him where he is in my rankings right now. And Rick said it's at least somewhat already baked into his ADP as well. Yeah, there was already risk in there.
Yeah, that's a great point. We talked about it a bit yesterday. We were talking about J.K. Dobbins, and I was mentioning how I was down on him early on in the off season, but I feel like his ADP is really adjusted. It has dropped down from over the course of the off season. So I completely agree with Mr. Butts here that it's already baked into his ADP.
Yeah, I agree right there as well. Mr. Scamper's verifying 2 years ago, AJ Green and Alex, and AJ Green was 2 years ago, a week away every week. Just kept being a week away.
What a slogan.
Guys, that is the end of our first round. Bob, you have a slight lead, 7-5. You guys both did really well. JL was within 10 on his poll. You were within 5, really within 1, and you both got the over/under correct.
0.5.
Within 0.5.
I was actually 0.1 from nailing it.
You were 0.1 from nailing it, Bob. That is true. We're going to move on to our next poll. And JL, this one is coming your way. Are you ready?
Let's go.
Dynasty, 12-team, PPR. It's another one. Different account, but same settings. Side A is Chris Godwin. Side B is Elijah Moore. What percentage of people chose Chris Godwin in this poll?
Ooh, this is pretty interesting. Chris Godwin's pretty tough to gauge his value. It's Dynasty, though.
Also, Josh asking, are all these based on a start 10 roster? I'll give the context that was given in the poll each time. So the poll will be based on whatever context was given in the poll. Sometimes they tell us roster size, sometimes they don't. All of the polls so far have been 12-team Dynasty have been what all of these have been so far.
Okay. Dynasty 12-team PPR. Redraft, I feel like this might be a little closer. I'm gonna go with 38%.
38% on the Godwin side, John Luke.
41% on the Godwin side.
41% on the Godwin side. Final answer?
Yeah.
Okay, Bob, are you going to take the over or under on Jail's guess of 41% on the Godwin
Elijah
side?
Moore at 59. That's pretty close because I was thinking that it'd probably be about 60-40. There's a lot of love out there for Elijah Moore.
There really is.
I think I'm going to. All right, so I'm taking the. Let me walk me through this. So if I'm taking the over, that means I think that there will be more for Godwin.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, more for Godwin. So if you take the over, it means you think it's higher than 41% on the Godwin side here.
Okay. If I take the under, then I think it's less for Godwin, more for Moore, right?
Correct. Yep.
Okay. I'm going to take the under then.
Bob taking the under on this one. So we've got JL with 41%, Bob with the under, and we've got a lot of guesses in the chat. Uneasy Allies
chat
with
does not
59,
agree with the under.
Dave with 54, Dame with 72,
Wow,
Josh with 62, Rick saying 53 again, JL saying 46. I think I remember this poll and being so upset by it. Albert said 51%, JR said 57.
Mr.
Wow, everybody's on the. Oh, Mr. Scampers is on my
Scampers finally. And according to the poll in the chat here, 100% of the chat believes over.
Wow. Everyone took the over. And Dave said Elijah love for Elijah Moore.
I like that one, Dave. That's well done, Dave. You nailed it.
It took at first whenever I read that, I was like, what are you trying? And then I read it correctly one time.
You nailed the delivery, Simon.
Well, I butchered it in my head 40 times because I was like, I know that's funny. I know what Dave put there is funny. I got to figure it out. Elote? Like I was just what
Josh? It seems like Josh took the way over on this one.
Yeah, Josh said over by a mile. Well, we will see the correct answer. The percentage of people that chose Chris Godwin over Elijah Moore in this poll was 47%. Dale, that puts you at 6 percentage points away, which is going to give you 3 points. You are 1 away from being within that 5 range.
Damn it.
But this is going to put you 1 point ahead of Bob because Bob, unfortunately, the over-under was incorrect.
Yeah.
So that is 8-7 now.
I thought there was more love for Elijah Moore.
I'm with you, Bob. I thought so too. In this poll, who would you guys be taking? I thought this was an interesting one. Bob, would you be going Elijah Moore here?
I think it obviously depends on where your team is, right? This is another one of the rebuilders versus win now kind of teams. If you're win now, I think Godwin, I think he'll be healthy. He may miss, let's say he's not healthy until 1st of October, which is fine, but he's definitely going to score you a lot of points. Elijah Moore was definitely somebody I loved until they drafted Garrett Wilson, and now there's just too many mouths to feed. And then you've got, MILF killer Josh Zach Wilson there. So who knows, what's going to happen there.
That offense is a big, it's a curtain on let's make a deal.
Right.
Because we're all really excited about what it could be with all of the pieces they've added with a high draft caliber capital QB with these 2 super stud young wide receivers and Elijah Moore and Garrett Wilson. They've got the running backs now. They drafted Breece Hall. They already have Michael Carter. Like, this is a potentially exciting offense.
Yeah, there's no question.
It's a different team.
Right direction, but
I think in this one I am going Elijah Moore, whether I'm
really
contending or not contending. I think a contending team can use those games from Elijah Moore, but I totally understand the other side. I'm probably a little bit more concerned about Chris Godwin's health, maybe, and I don't think the gap between these two on this year, like whenever they're playing, is going to be so high that it makes up for that difference for me for a win now team. And I loved what we saw in the small sample size from Elijah Moore last year. I'm not convinced Garrett Wilson comes in and becomes the 1A, 1B with him immediately. I'm more on this is Elijah Moore. He's the one. Garrett Wilson's going to have a decent season as a rookie if Zach Wilson can pick up as the second wide receiver on this team.
I think you guys mentioned a lot of the points, but maybe towards the other end here. And I'm on the other side of this. I'm firmly on the Chris Godwin side. I'm taking Chris Godwin ahead of Elijah Moore. A couple people in the chat mentioned it. Godwin is young. He's 26 years old. 26 for a wide receiver is not very old. He's got at least 3 or 4 years of peak performance left. And even then, I'd expect more. I'd expect a high caliber wide receiver to go into their 30s and still perform on a fantasy level. So I'm going Godwin here. Elijah Moore, I am excited about, but Simon, you mentioned it. It's a small sample size that we saw him succeed. This offense is changing a ton. I don't know that we can necessarily count on what we saw in that small sample last year being the case going forward for Elijah Moore.
That's 100% fair. I think there's definitely more risk on the Elijah Moore side because we've seen less of it, right? There's a little bit more certainty in the talent level of Chris Godwin and what we're going to get
and the
there.
Quarterback that Chris Godwin has too.
Right.
And Josh, and you're saying, get him straight, JL. Let him know what's up. JL and Bob spitting the Godwin facts, and I'm, I guess, alone over here on the Moore side right now. But that's okay. We're going to move on to our next poll now. Bob, this one is coming your direction. Are you ready for it?
Okay.
Here's the question. Which wide receiver do you prefer in a dynasty league? Side A, Darnell Mooney. Side B, Juju Smith-Schuster. Side C, Mike Williams. So this is a three-parter. What percentage of people chose Darnell Mooney in this poll over both Juju Smith-Schuster and Mike Williams? What do you think?
Mike Williams is what throws it off. It was Darnell versus Juju would be 80-20. Mike Williams is what throws this off. All right, I'm going to give Juju 20. So now we're going to split up 80%. So I'm going to go...
I'm gonna go for something over there.
I'm gonna go 42% Darnell Mooney. Yeah. And then Juju's 20 and Mike Williams is 38.
Okay, 42% Darnell Mooney from Bob. JL, do you think the actual percentage is over or under Bob's guess of 42%?
I think it's under. I'm gonna go with under, and if it's not the case, I'm gonna be sad.
What makes you think it's under?
I think that, Darnell Mooney, he looks great. He got a ton of targets last year and has a ton of potential in that offense. But Mike Williams, much better offense, much better talent, in my opinion, than Darnell Mooney. And even Juju
Isn't he 5 years older?
He is. I don't know their exact age. Mike Williams is what, 2 years younger than us, Simon? He's probably 26.
I think he's like 27. He's 27. I think.
I don't know how
I can look it up. Yeah, Mike Williams is 27. And Darnell Mooney is 24, so 3 years younger.
He's an older player. Okay, I thought he was just. Isn't he in his second year?
Second or third?
Maybe it's third.
Darnell Mooney has had 2 seasons. Yeah, he played.
Wow, so he came out at 22. Okay.
Yeah, so I think this will be closer to even. Honestly, I think that Juju Smith-Schuster is likely going to be the third guy. I think you hit that one correctly, Bob. But I think it's going to be a little closer to even. So I'm going to take the under here.
The under. Okay, we've got a bunch of guesses in the chat. Uneasy Allies with 37. Dave with 72.
72.
Butts with 43. Scott with 25. Josh with 27. Mr. Scambers with 55. And Josh giving us the full breakdown. 27, 23, 50
Flex on
is what
him, Josh.
He says. He says it's going to be all on the M-Will side. J-Wall with 19. Albert with 33. Brady with 29. Peaked with 39%, JR with 30%. And guys, I will tell you, this poll had a see results option. I removed those votes from the percentages. So the percentages are adjusted based on just the votes that voted on the 3 options right there. So they didn't get biased by the people who didn't have an opinion on this one. Well, you know what? Let's reveal this one a little bit differently. Bob, I will tell you, if you were guessing Juju's side, it was 20% exactly.
Wow.
Juju had 20% of the vote, right on the money. Now, Darnell Mooney, now we just got to split up that 80% between the other two. It's a good start for you so far. Darnell Mooney had 47% of the vote. Wow. So you are within 5 yet again, Bob, and JL is going to get skunked out on that one for not correctly picking the over-under.
I knew that there was a lot of love for Mooney. I just thought there was just as much, if not more, for Mike Williams, especially since they're only 3 years apart versus 5. So yeah, I'm surprised it was that much higher. I'm really shocked by that.
I completely
Mike
disagree with
Williams
Scott here.
Injuries.
More than he should.
I think Mike Williams injuries plus maybe Darnell Mooney's like trajectory now. Like he seems younger because he's on a team with a younger quarterback that's like up and coming. Mike Williams has gotten injured repeatedly on this high-powered offense where there's other weapons like Keenan Allen. Like I think the perception is that Mike Williams is much older. Like you said, Bob, I thought it was more than 3 years for sure.
Yeah.
Joe, you disagree with Scott here?
I thought Mooney was younger because he's only been in his second year, but
yeah, I completely disagree with Scott. I think that people don't love Mike Williams enough. It just feels like this is the first time, and maybe rightfully so, after the season he had last year, that some people are finally buying in. But I still don't know that it's enough.
Never enough. You can never love Mike Williams enough,
Mike
right
Williams
there.
Enough.
But on the Juju came in last on this poll with only 20% of the vote, and I'm not surprised either. But do you guys think there's a chance where Juju's dynasty value, like if this poll gets asked again at the end of this year, we assume Darnell and Mike Williams meet expectations. Do you think it's probable that Juju's dynasty value is going up this season, or do you think it stays relatively stagnant on that Chiefs offense?
Absolutely, it's possible. He's on a high-powered offense. Tyreek Hill's no longer there. You know, a lot of the circumstances around his situation are positive for Juju. So it absolutely could go up. It also could go down if he doesn't really turn it on this year. Or it could stay the same.
There's so many options.
Yeah.
About 3. Bob, what do you? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Joe.
I was just saying, I think Juju is talented. So I believe that he'll be able to turn the situation into something positive here.
I think there's a lot of things in Juju's favor. One, he's not that old yet. 2, he has a chip. He better damn well have a chip on his shoulder after last couple of years. And people are basically saying he could be the 3rd wide receiver overall because MVS will step up and Mecole Hardman will step up or Sky Moore will step up. And let's be honest, I think I agree. The kid is very talented, and if he gets in a good rapport and earns Patrick Mahomes' trust, and he's a slot receiver. So now you've got to worry about Kelsey in one direction and Juju in the other. Underneath, if MVS and Hardman and those guys are stretching the field, he could be a target monster. He may not get 1,500 yards or 12 touchdowns, but he could easily have 70, 80 catches for 907, and that's
a damn good season.
A wide receiver 3, and that's now. I don't see his dynasty value skyrocketing, but I could see it being a lot better as we head into next year if if those things all happen. I mean, again, we kind of don't know, but I have to believe that the higher years of veteran service here for Juju, if he can work well with Patrick and get in a rhythm, boy, that could be pretty for those of you who believed in Juju, and I'm one of them.
Yeah, absolutely. I know there's a whole Juju consistency out there. And Jay, you know what, Jay? This is what we're here for, the hard-hitting analysis. Jay says he's taking notes. Could go up, could go down, could stay the same. Yeah, you nailed it all, Jay. You got all of it. So you're good to go right there. And Justin covering all the bases. Yep. No specific anything here. We're just going to make sure we say everything that could be right. And then we only meant those things right there. After that round, JL, you have 8 points. Bob, you have 12. So, Bob, you have a little bit of a lead going in here to the final round. Back. But we are introducing a new mechanic for this round. Uh-oh. So now, instead of just the over, under, and queen bee options, there are 2 more options available for you after your opponent's guess. Okay. You can guess way over and way under. What this means is you think that your opponent is 15 percentage points or more away from the actual answer. So you could think the actual answer is 15 or more higher. If it is, and you guess way over, you will get 4 points, but it's very much so a double or nothing mechanic, because if you say way over and it's only over by 14%, you're going to get 0 points. Absolutely nothing at all. So that's there for you. There's more points available. Your opponent's going to have to make a bad guess for it to be possible, but there's that mechanic. Use it if you will. JL, that means we're coming back to you for your next poll. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Is that added for Josh doing shots? Is that why we're
No, it got added because JL was losing so much, and so we needed like a comeback mechanic in the final round to help him get back. Yeah, it was right there. Okay. JL, here is your next poll. It's a Dynasty PPR league. Side A is Saquon Barkley. Side B is Travis Etienne Jr. What percentage of people chose Saquon Barkley?
This is disgusting. Oh boy, Saquon and Travis Etienne. I love both of these guys. I'm probably higher on both of these guys than the public. That's not the game though. I have to figure out what the public believes.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with, just for hype alone, I'm gonna go with 48%.
On the Saquon side, 48%.
Always side A, baby.
Locking it in. Before we move on to Bob's guess, we got Scott Fish in the chat saying so freaking excited for the expo. Also,
Scott
Bob,
Fish.
I'll text you back right now. Come on.
Hey Scott, are you gonna wear a boot again this year? I hope so. I use it to hold stuff that I don't want to put in my pockets.
I know we've told the story on stream before, but I just have to do it again. When Josh and I were in the elevator and Scott was in there, and right before we get off, it's just me, Scott, and Josh. And Scott has the big old boot on because he was injured. And right as we're getting off, he drops his hotel key. And Josh and I are on the other side. And Josh is like, oh no. And the door's closing, and Scott just looks at him and frowns because he can't pick up his own hotel key on the floor because he had the boot on. And as the doors closed, just frowned at Josh,
Just
didn't say anything. And Josh, it tore him up. Like that night, he was like, God, Scott Fish hates me. He just frowned at me as the door closed. It was pretty funny.
That's great.
That was cracking me up. And we got Scott Rainier saying Expo, can't wait to meet a bunch of people in person. Yeah, it's unreal.
We'll be there.
Unreal right there. Well, Bob, Jail's guess on this one was 48% on the Saquon Barkley side. Do you think the correct answer is over, under, way over, or way under Jail's guess of 48%?
I definitely think it's under. Man, if it was 10%, I might do the way over or way under. But man, 15, that means that it would be what? Down to 33%? 33,
yep.
Man, that's really pushing it. No, I'm just going to take the under. I think it's going to be probably like 65-35. That's what I'm thinking. But there's just so much love for ETN, and Barkley, just has disappointed so many people. I got to take the under.
Got to take the under. We got an under from Bob. Jail's guess at 48%. And we got guesses in the chat as well. And Josh is going to be disappointed in us. Josh, I'm loving your vibes in the chat. He's like, y'all better not miss by plus 15%.
Yeah, that'd be rough. I think I wouldn't be surprised if this one does.
Josh is keeping me alive today.
He's keeping me alive too. It happens. We have polls where they're just absolutely shocking. Uneasy Allies, 46%. Yeah. Josh, man of his words, at 33% right there. He
way
said
under.
This should be ETM by a mile. Dustin with 49, Peaked with 39%. Scott with 50, Albert with 37, Ricky Butts with 59. Jay Wall with 51%, Dave with 39, Scampers with 29, and JR with 50.
This just shows you it's all over the place.
Okay, guys. Well, the percentage of people that chose Saquon Barkley over Travis Etienne, according to this poll, was, gosh, you're going to be shocked. It was 61% on the Saquon Barkley side. And Dale, before you get mad at me for sampling size, this one had 609 votes on this poll. 61% on the Saquon side.
Everybody from New York?
This was not posted by a New York Giants Twitter thread. Jail, you do get 1 point for that because you are within 15. So that is going to bring you up to 9, only 3 away from Bob right now.
Wow. So the over is the only thing that hit. Man, 37% of the chat chose the over.
37% chose the over. And Josh and your son, Ricky, you got 60%. And Ricky Butts going 59. I think that was the absolute closest right there out of 61%. Nice job, Rick. He may not agree with it, but he knows the chat. He knows the public. And Josh said, I want to be in a league with the men from these polls for $1 million.
In outer space right
now. Would you guys take Travis Etienne or Saquon Barkley in a dynasty league?
God, don't ask me that.
I would take Etienne, but
my God.
What's their ADP right now?
In Dynasty?
In Dynasty.
I could look it up.
I'm going to pull up the Fantasy Pros just real quick just to see which one's going higher right now.
I don't know.
It's Saquon Barkley right now, according to this, but yeah, by quite a bit. Saquon Barkley is the 8th running back off the board, and ETN is the 17th, right in that J.K. Dobbins, Antonio Gibson, Derrick Henry range.
This isn't a Dynasty?
This is in Dynasty. That's just one source, but I know they gathered data from a couple different sources right there. But it looks like Barkley's going way higher, and I would take ETN as well. Like I'm going ETN most likely.
Yeah.
I think I would go Barkley. I think I'm just higher on Barkley than most people. I think I'm also higher on ETN. It's not an indictment on ETN.
I would go Barkley in a redraft over ETN, but in a dynasty, it doesn't make any sense. But
I'm with you.
I guess they're both injured, and so both coming back from injuries. But yeah.
Yeah.
And Scott, you're saying in Barkley's defense, ETN had like 0 rushing yards last year, and then he said ETN for me. And Dave said Saquon over ETN. Yeah, it looks like this is split. And Rick said, I like ETN talent, but I do not like how Peterson uses running backs.
It's fair.
So
it's totally
that's
fair.
a fair point right there. And Alex saying, give me Barkley, but it's close.
It's close for me too. It's close for me too.
And Josh saying, ditch that source, bro.
Ditch that source, bro.
Bob, are you ready for your last poll before we move into the final round?
Also, real quick, Josh said, look at keep trade cut. I don't talk about stuff, but I don't trust keep trade cut as a valuation aspect. I don't think the math really correlates to proper value. I think it's most likely bad data. So I don't tend not to make decisions based off that. But I think if you can combine that with some other, sources, it's definitely a good idea. Just see if you can normalize
by itself. You don't love it, but as a supplemental piece, I absolutely.
in general, I question the methodology of that. Just because, how are you ranking players based keep trade cut, which is a context filled question without any of that context? I'm not going to go into it too deep, but yeah.
Get them, JL. Just kidding. Yeah. Bob, we're going to move on to your last poll. Your poll, this is a simple question. This poll asked, who is better at football? So it just says, who is better at football?
Okay.
Side A, Dawson Knox. Side B, Dalton Schultz. What percentage of people voted for Dawson Knox in this poll?
Wow.
Another tricky one. I told you guys I got the good polls today.
I don't see the answer being – I don't see it being people. It's going to be how many Buffalo people versus how many Cowboy fans.
You're going to go with Bob?
I'm going to go with – I think it'll be close. So I'm going to go 45% Dawson Knox.
45%, is that what you said? 45%
Dawson Knox.
Locked in?
I think Schultz, I agree. I would pick Schultz. And I think most people saw what he did last year. Knox has his moments, but it's better at football, not better at fantasy. So.
Okay. Bob going with 45%. JL, are you going with over, under, way under, or queen B on Bob's guess right here?
45. That means it's got to be 60 or more. I'm going to go. Oh, wait, no. I'm thinking of the other side. 45%. So if it was more Schultz, it would be 30%. I'm going to go under.
Taking the under, JL?
Yeah.
JL taking the under. We got some guesses in the chat for this one. Rick Butts with 29. Uneasy Allies with 50. Mr. Scamper saying Gabe Davis is the better football player. Jay Wall saying 50% because I don't care. You should care. These are some fantasy relevant tight ends, Jay Wall. Josh with 35%.
Hedge, Jay Wall.
But then said, I'm going to start taking my answer and adding 10% every time.
It's a good strategy.
Dave said Schultz easy, and I'm a Bills fan. Albert with 52. Alex with 61. Mr. Scampers with 33. Wow. And Josh saying 35 plus 10 equals 45. Me and you, Bob. You're in it together. Well, guys, the actual percentage of people that chose Dawson Knox in this poll was 43%. Bob, that means through your 3 polls, you were off by a combined 8%. Off all 3 polls, you were within 5 on this one again. Gonna give you 5 more points, bringing you up to 17. Joe, you are going to get 2 points on this one, bringing you up to 11. Meaning that going into this final round,
I gotta hit it exactly.
You gotta hit it exactly to beat Bob. Bob, Jail's only chance of beating you in this final round is hitting it exactly on the head. Otherwise, you will be our poll perception champion.
Oh, that's right. We're both guessing, right? Okay, yeah, this is not over under. That's right. Right. Okay,
Bob, do you happen to have a piece of paper and a pen or a phone that you could write your answer on for this last poll?
Do I? Yeah.
Yes. Sweet. Perfect. Because I'm going to put it up. I'm going to give you guys about 20 seconds to come up with your answer, and then I'll ask you guys to reveal them, and we will reveal the champion. And Josh, I'm just saying, let's go, baby. At 45, you were one of the closest in the chat. You and Bob wrote it.
It worked.
And Mr. Scamper said Bob is crushing. Bob is absolutely crushing. Missed a couple over-unders, but couldn't have been closer on the polls. 5 points every single time, Bob.
Yeah, I think we're going to have to test Bob for performance-enhancing drugs.
Water.
Oh, yeah. Well, you're just going to admit it on stream like that you've been taking
Yeah, that's
water?
what Josh tells us all the time.
And Mr. Scaver says, JL, you're also crushing, but less effectively.
Less effectively.
Well, guys, here is your
Thank you for softening the blow.
Here is your final poll. And this one's a little different than all of the others. I will say this was asked by a fantasy account, but the poll is, which one is better? Side A, The Office, or side B, Parks and Rec? What percentage of people chose The Office in this poll? I will say this poll is still going, so I might pull up the most recent results just so I'm not using the one I took the screenshot of.
And this poll is certainly we have a history with this type of question.
We have a history with this question. We've pissed off our entire chat before with this question.
Yeah, this is a while ago. It's like a year and a half ago.
All right, I got mine.
You got yours, Joe? You got yours?
I got mine.
Okay. Well, guys, let's see them. We got 67 and 61% right there, both in that same range. Joe, you got to get it exactly right to win. We got some guesses in the chat. J-Wall with 86%, Dave with 82, Uneasy Allies with 54, Dame with 66. Peaked wants to know how many votes. 7,110 votes on this one, Peaked.
Wow.
65% from Peaked. Let's see. Josh says I'm out on TV. Mr. Scamper says 61. Dame says both so great.
So great. Love
JR says 78. Albert was 63. And JR saying new girl, 98%. Actually had that caps lock on.
It deserves to be in the conversation.
It does deserve to be in the conversation. Well, guys, the percentage of people that chose The Office, according to over 7,000 votes, was 76%. Bob, you are our champion, and it's not even close. Let's go and add those points to your final score.
Well
you
done.
Have actually doubled JL's score in this game, beating him by a score of 22-11. Congrats on the W, man.
My double or nothing mechanics didn't help at all.
Thank you.
No,
is that the biggest margin of victory?
I don't know.
Now
maybe in a two-person game. Yeah, we got to start keeping a leader.
Oh, okay.
I think you own my house now, Bob.
Sometimes you have three, right?
Yeah, you own JL's house now, so you've got a vacation home in Baltimore. He'll leave the keys under the mat. It'll be good to go right there.
All yours.
Bob, I did want to thank you so much for taking the time to come on with us. I know you're wildly busy this time of year with the expo coming up in less than a month, but we really appreciate you taking the time to come and play Pole Perception with us today.
Oh, no, that was a blast. I want to do this again. I want to break my record.
We'll have to have you back.
Ever scored?
It's up there for sure. In the 20s, no one's ever gotten in the 30s. That's either the highest or one of the top 3 highest that have been scored, Bob.
All right. Rookie luck there.
And with only 7 polls. Sometimes we do 9, and you did that with 7.
Okay.
Next time we'll bring Josh on, so you have some real competition.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, well, I didn't want to say that, but okay.
And Peak said leaderboard. Need that pin tweet on FYF. Yeah, we should get a leaderboard up there.
Yeah, we talked about it.
Guys, if you are not already following our friend Bob, make sure you go and follow him on Twitter right now at Bob_Lung. And then while you're on Twitter, he's got the link in his bio at the FF Expo is the homepage for all things Fantasy Football Expo. Like we mentioned, it's coming up in less than a month. Bob's been putting all the work in. We'll continue to put all the work in until it happens.
If you're going to be there, come say hi to us. Our whole team's going to be there. So
we'll all be there. Come and say hello to us.
Probably be asking trivia.
We will be running around asking trivia. It's what we do. Put a couple drinks in us and we just start screaming trivia at the top of our lungs everywhere we go.
Tim just starts screaming at people. It's not even trivia.
Yeah, you're right. Tim screams answers, but nobody asks the question. He runs around just screaming the answers to trivia.
Cirrus clouds.
Guys, that is going to be it for us this afternoon. Another big thanks to Bob. Thank you to everybody in the chat that hung out with us today and played along with us. We love all of you. Well, most of you. All of you but one for sure.
You know who you are.
We'll be back tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern time. Until then, adios, everyone.
See you guys.
Bye-bye.
Thanks so much.
Trading.